Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our interview with John Shegerian. John is a chairman and CEO of ERI. He has also written the bestseller book, The Insecurity of Everything. John, thank you for coming to our interview today.
Thank you so much for having me, Boris. It's wonderful to be here. It's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure too. And because I saw a special nomination by Goldman Sachs, they recently named you one of the 100 most intriguing entrepreneurs of 2021. So I wonder, could you perhaps tell us a short story about yourself? What brought you to your current role and what you have been up to these days?
Yeah, thank you so much, Boris. You know, we started this company, ERI, about 20 years ago, and we started very small in Fresno, California with one location because electronic waste was a big problem then. It was the fastest growing solid waste stream in the world. And here we are 20 years later with 11 buildings in 8 states. We cover every zip code in the United States. And unfortunately, Boris, electronic waste is even a bigger problem today than when we got in the industry, but we're working with us and many other stakeholders to try to make the world a better and cleaner place by taking care of the e-waste problem. So that's what we're up to right now. We have 1,000 employees and
Wow.
and about 3,000 clients, and it's a very exciting time to be in the ESG circular economy data destruction space.
All right. So, yeah, I understand that many companies are now faced with major issues related to their electronics for fear that the private or personal data will be compromised. And as a result, this recycling of data storing devices when they are no longer needed has become an issue, which goes beyond environmental responsibility, moving it more like a realm of privacy and security. So could you tell us how serious a problem of hardware hacking and what are typical use cases of your customers?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a big issue. GDPR started in May of 2018 in Europe. And typically, United States gets informed by Europe passing laws that are more progressive and forward thinking. And with GDPR, it's not any different. And GDPR goes to the issue of the EU's management of privacy and data controls for the big brands and organizations throughout the EU. And so what's come to America is the federal government has said, oh, look at what the EU has done. And the federal government is creating more laws around data privacy and protection here in the United States. And each state is creating their own version of GDPR and privacy laws. So here's what the real truth is. The real truth is this, Boris. All of us were raised by parents that said to us when we were little kids, crime does not pay. But unfortunately, when it comes to cybercrime, the exact opposite is true. In 2015, the cyber criminals got away with $3 trillion in assets on a worldwide basis. And 5 years later, or 6 years later, in 2021, the number is $6 trillion. So cybercrime is rising. And cybercrime breaks down into two distinct issues. The software side of it, which of course, there's many great companies that have created wonderful solutions to help with the software side of it. But the little known fact and the other side of the coin is the hardware side of cybercrime. So once we use all of our gadgets, which makes our businesses and our personal lives more interesting, more connected, our tablets, our cell phones, or even now our cars, which have become computers on wheels, when we're done using these great assets, if we don't appropriately destroy the data in them and they get into the wrong people's hands, they can reverse engineer our entire lives or the company that we work for, organization we work with. And that's the big problem, Boris. Most people use these devices and don't realize how horrible the experience can be if they, even on a benign basis, allow these devices to get into the wrong people's hands.
Mhm. So is it more now an environmental problem or data security issues? And what
It's a
are
great
some?
question. It's a great question. And really, the truth is it's both, but many of our clients come to us for environmental, but they're very, very happy and very, very, they feel very secure that we're destroying the data that's contained inside of their old assets. But many clients come to us now, banking entities, healthcare agencies, large governmental organizations, the Department of Homeland Security in the United States, for example, and they come to us strictly for the data destruction, but then they're very happy that we also engage in good environmental protection. But the data destruction has become very critical. So for instance, Fortune magazine wrote an article on ERI, our company, called Dead But Not Forgotten. And the last sentence of the article, Boris, the writer, the head writer on cybersecurity for Fortune magazine, his name is Robert Hackett. And the last sentence of the article was, it turns out that e-waste is not only an environmental hazard, but a cybersecurity one as well.
Mm-hmm. So can you perhaps name some devices that store personal data and that we don't think about it when we use them?
Absolutely. I'll give two devices that we typically don't think about at all: fax machines and copier machines. These could have every copy and every document that's went through them on their hard drive. And if they're not destroyed appropriately, their hard drives are not appropriately destroyed when they come to their end of life, it could be a disaster, catastrophic results for the organization or even the household that these machines are in. So those are two classic examples, fax machines and copier machines. Then when you also start thinking about just regular stuff that we use, our tablets and our phones, but also now start thinking about your car. If you rent a car or you lease a car, or even if you buy a car now, all these new EV cars are basically computers on wheels. They all have computer hardware inside of them, and they download all of our information off of our tablets or our cell phones. And once you turn that car back in, if you haven't destroyed the data on that hard drive and the wrong people get their hands on that information, they can reverse engineer your entire life or your business.
Mm-hmm. So can you tell us, for example, what's something you or your team have recently achieved that you are really proud of?
Well, first of all of our buildings in the United States and all of our recycling is done under NAID certification. So we have the right environmental certifications, which are called E-Stewards and R2, but for the data destruction, NAID is the platinum standard. NAID, National Association of Information Destruction. So every one of our buildings are certified to that. Now that certification, Boris, was originally created for the paper destruction business, for companies like Shred-it and Iron Mountain and other companies like that who destroy data on paper. But then about 7 or 8 years ago, they made a standard for data that's in hardware, and all of our buildings and all of our companies' processes revolve around good data security practices. And we use the NAID standard and the Department of Defense standards. So we're very proud that we're NAID certified. That's number one. Number two, we're also very proud that we have the largest footprint in the United States and have more volume in clients than anybody else in the United States. So we are based here in the United States, and we cover every zip code. So we're very proud that we protect some of the biggest brands and also some of the biggest government entities, such as the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice here in the United States.
Great to hear. And I want to hear your personal opinion. What is the commonly held belief in your space, or maybe major misconception that you strongly disagree with?
Well, many people think that all recycling is created equal. And the truth is, it's not created equal. I'll give you an example, Boris. A big government entity called us about 2 give them a price for recycling all their old assets in Washington, D.C. And we gave them our price. And about a month goes by and we never heard back from them. So I had the salesperson call them and say, hey, what happened? Are we going to get the job or get the work? And they said, oh, we're very sorry. We gave the business to somebody else. And the salesperson asked them, well, who did you give the business to? He says, oh, we gave it to this recycling company in Maryland, not far from us. And he said, well, why did you give it to them and not us? Oh, because they said they were going to come pick up everything from our government offices for free. And my salesperson called me up and Boris, I'm here to tell you, there's no real thing as free recycling. There's no responsible free recycling where data is being destroyed. Data destruction in hardware and responsible recycling to protect the environment is a service, just like a lawyer or a banker or an accountant or a dentist or a doctor. It's a service that takes a lot of people, takes a lot of overhead and a lot of thought process to do it right. So all recycling is not created equal, even though many people think it is. And then they think they get a bargain when they get it for free. And really what happens in America, and this was told to us by the FBI. The FBI came and met with us and they told us, when people say they're free recycling, typically, Boris, they're putting all those electronics into a container and selling it to the highest bidder around the world. And it used to be, Boris, that the highest bidder wanted to just take those electronics and get the gold or the silver or the copper out of them. But the FBI told us very clearly that now many times the bidders are people who want to pull the hard drives from these old electronics and reverse engineer the people's secrets, whether it's the data that protects an organization or the data that protects the homeland security of the United States. The bad guys are now buying the electronics, not for the gold, but the gold has become the information that's contained therein. That's the new gold.
Exactly. So what themes are driving such growth of your company? Is it data security, privacy, ESG regulation, compliance, or something else? Or what are the trends in your space?
It's a great question. And the answer is all of the above, but I'll make it even simpler. Data security is absolutely, cybersecurity and data security are absolutely driving the growth of our industry in combination with this new push for ESG and circular economy behavior. So for instance, Boris, when I say that we recycled 20 million pounds of electronic waste last month, that means all of that waste, we're zero landfill, and we're zero emissions. So when we break down all that electronic waste into commodities, and the commodities in order of volume are steel, plastic, aluminum, copper, then you have the precious metals, gold, silver, lead, palladium, cobalt. When you take all those materials that we then create underneath our roofs, all of it's sold for beneficial reuse. Nothing goes to a landfill. So ESG and circular economy were a great story, but then also all the data that comes in these hardware is destroyed and put into the world's biggest shredders, which we created, and everything goes away. And that's why we're trusted by Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, by the city of New York, by the city of LA. They trust us with their materials because we do everything under NAID certification to make sure that not only do we protect the environment, but we protect the data. And that's the two biggest trends. People want to protect their data and their privacy and the privacy of the organization they work for, and they want to make the world a better and greener place, because all of us, Boris, no matter whether we live in Amsterdam or in California, we all want to drink cleaner water and breathe cleaner air and leave a cleaner and better earth for our children and our grandchildren. And that's what's really driving the future and the growth of our industry.
Fantastic. So do you think that all that we just emerged from COVID-19 restriction, and how was the impact on this on your industry? And what
That's
do
a
you
great
think?
question. That's a great question. What happened, Boris, is, everybody went home because everybody in the world was on lockdown. So we worked from our homes. But here's the good news and the bad news. People then had their personal tablets and computers and cell phones that they use in their house. And then their companies sent them their own hardware to do their business on. But what started to happen, we started to hear from big organizations, is that people working from home started using their business hardware for their personal needs. And then they started using their personal hardware for their business needs. And there was a cross-contamination of information. So on your personal phone, you probably have a lot of your business information. On your business phone, you probably have a lot of your personal information on your business, and it's cross-contaminated. So what does that mean is people now have to take even greater care, and organizations have to take greater care to make sure that all the hardware in people's homes since COVID happened has to be destroyed the right way when they come to their end of life, because no one wants their personal information or their organization's information to get into the hands of the bad guys. So now all the hardware in people's homes have to get back to responsible recyclers around the planet. That's the real new trend after COVID.
All right, fantastic. Because our audience are mostly risk managers and compliance managers. Based on what you said, what are the major takeaways for them to implement in their job environment?
I think it's very important for risk managers and CTOs and other leaders in technology for companies around the world to make sure that when their employees working from home cross-contaminated their hardware, that they create a protocol for their hardware to get back to a responsible recycler, no matter where they sit, whether it's Paris, whether it's Rome, whether it's Amsterdam, or whether it's New York City. Everyone was working from home during COVID. So it's very important to create a protocol and a procedure to get back all of the assets in that house, so everything that was contaminated can be destroyed appropriately and responsibly.
All right, fantastic. So we are closing to the end, and maybe to finalize, because I am running global risk community. We are a community of more than 30,000 members, and as a community for risk managers, we want to always contribute to better understanding of this complex of world of risk. So how you think we can probably, with your company, partner together on some initiatives worldwide, potentially?
Yeah, we have not only the biggest footprint in the United States, but we cover over 50 countries around the world. We have partners that have the same standards as we do, Boris. So anyone who contacts me that are your listeners or your viewers that would like help in their country, wherever they are in the world, we can help them. We can help them protect the environment. We can help them responsibly destroy the data that's contained in their hardware. We're happy to help anytime with anybody who's watching your show around the world.
Oh, fantastic. That's all my questions. If I forgot something, maybe you want to add.
There is one little surprise I want to give to all of your viewers and listeners who are risk managers. My book, which I didn't write this book to make money. I wrote it as an education tool. So what I offer, Boris, to your viewers exclusively, if they write to you and they say they'd like a free copy of this book so they can learn more about responsible data destruction, I'm happy to send it to anyone who writes to you anywhere in the world, a copy of this book. It's called The Insecurity of Everything. It's now an Amazon bestseller. And we wrote this to help educate all the risk managers around the world so they can responsibly destroy their data when they come to their end of life.
Fantastic. So it means that there is no link. So they have to send me and I will send to you. How it will work?
Yep. Or you can send it to you, or they can write me an email directly. My email address is JSS John Sam at eridirect.com. I'm happy. They just said, I heard you on Boris's show, and I'm happy to get them a free copy of their book because of you, Boris.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, John, very much. It was very impactful interview, and I hope I wish your company a great success with your very interesting job and very important with current environment. And I hope we will be in contact soon to develop probably other interviews more on specific topics because we want to connect with our partners and speakers.
It's an honor and a pleasure, Boris, to be on your show. Keep up the great work, stay healthy, and keep all of your listeners safe.
Thank you, John. Thank you.